this edition of Southern Newsweek, winter pays a quick and brutal return to New Zealand with snow to sea level in Dunedin. Labour's leader visits Invercargill promising help for the Tiwai Point smelter. And a Dunedin co-housing project could lead the way to affordable housing throughout the country. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Snow fell to sea level in Dunedin this week, causing traffic chaos on some roads. But the rare sight of snow on the beach at St Clair was a drawcard for many people.
Thick snow began falling across Dunedin about 8:30 this morning, making the morning commute tricky for many. This van coming to grief in slippery conditions. While the journey by car off of the City Hill suburbs was best taken gradually. NIWA labelled the event a weather bomb, which is when low pressure strengthens at a pace of more than 24 hectopascals over a 24-hour period. The rare sight of snow at Dunedin's St Clair was a thrill for many people.
I love it. I love seeing the dark clouds and the snow falling and being able to play in it. It's great. It's quite fun because we get snow and we don't have to go up to the mountains for it.
It's strange. It's the first time I've ever seen it like this. It's kind of like a sensory overload when you're walking on sand, but there's also snow.
Me and Harry.
This is my girlfriend Millie, and to have snow on the beach is like to have sugar in a coffee. Something that some people don't like, and a lot of people do like it.
Snow has fallen off and on during the day, with a thick dump of snow in the early afternoon across the city. Dunedin Airport says flights have been affected, and State Highway 87 has been closed north of Dunedin. It's understood the last time snow fell on Dunedin's St Clair Beach was in 2017. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Dunedin City Councillor says the closure of a major central car park in Dunedin could spell disaster if alternative options aren't found. More than 300 car parks have been lost, and now the St Andrew Street car park is closed for 3 months for a much needed upgrade.
Dunedin is set to lose about another 300 car parks at the end of this week, when this City Council-owned car park at St Andrew Street is closed for a much-needed upgrade. Councillor Jules Radich is disappointed council staff haven't made another car park temporarily available for the 3 months it'll take to seal this one.
It would have been better if the council could have, simultaneous with closing this car park temporarily while they do it up, they could have found or created some alternate car parking, albeit further away.
And he says he's identified plenty of Dunedin streets that could accommodate more car parks through angled parking.
To me, there's quite a lot of scope around Dunedin streets for changing of lines and signs to convert parallel parking into angle parking. And in particular, experimenting with reverse angle parking would be a particularly good way to increase the amount of parking available.
Radich says he can't see Dunedin drivers giving up their cars anytime soon.
With busy lives, people need a car. They can't use public or active transport. They've got kids to pick up after school, take to after school activities, sports practice, cultural events and so forth. It's critically important to have the use of the motor car.
He says it's a mistake to think that public transport could be as successful in Dunedin as it is in densely populated cities overseas.
It's not appropriate for a city that's as spread out as Dunedin is, and we don't have the concentration either of jobs or of population.
City Councillor Jim O'Malley, who is the Council Infrastructure and Networks Chairman, says the car park's upgrade is to provide a better and safer asphalt finish, and it's not a plan by the Council to reduce car parking in town. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Cold and wet weather didn't stop New Zealand's Prime Minister from visiting Invercargill on the campaign trail before this month's election. Her party is promising to keep the nearby smelter on life support for the next few years if elected.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern visited Invercargill today to talk with Southland community leaders about issues facing the region. One of her stops was a temporary museum displaying information on Invercargill's CBD rebuild, with the first shop in the new development expected to open its doors in 2 years' time. The Labour Party has promised to keep Southland's Tiwai Point smelter on life support for another 3 years. If re-elected, the party says it would work to reduce the amount of money the smelter pays for electricity, because the cost of power is cited as a major reason why Rio Tinto is closing the plant. But the government says if the smelter wants cheaper power, it does need to maintain the current level of employment at the site. And if the smelter does not meet this demand, the deal will be taken off the table. In the meantime, a Labour-led government is also promising to transition Southland's economy to greener jobs. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Green Party co-leader James Shaw says Dunedin's High Street co-housing project could lead the way in affordable housing. He says the housing development could also show the way for the rest of the country.
This Dunedin co-housing development could lead the way for the rest of the country and help with affordable housing. That's according to Green Party co-leader James Shaw, who spent a snowy day on the campaign trail yesterday, which included a visit to the High Street co-housing development site. Shaw and Green Party Tairi candidate Scott Willis were shown around the site by architect Tim Ross.
This is one of the leading examples in the country, both of a co-housing development, which is a particular type of development where people buy in and then do the design together, but also this is one of the leading examples, in fact possibly the only example, of a multi-unit passive house, and passive housing is the highest possible standard of housing that we have in the world. Actually, it's a global standard.
After checking progress on the development, due to be open early next year, Shaw described it as a great example for the rest of the country, and the party wants to see similar projects underway.
For the Greens, this kind of development really helps to supplement the work that we're doing on state housing, and so we think that we can really unleash the community sector in ways that hasn't been done so far.
One of the Green Party's housing policies is to change the rules around KiwiSaver first home deposits.
Currently the rules mean that it makes it very difficult or actually impossible for you to be able to use your KiwiSaver towards a co-housing development like this, so we want to change the rules around that. And the second thing that we want to do is to create national guidance for planners because it is new and councils are kind of struggling with it a bit, and so we want to simplify the rules around planning.
As well as the housing project, Shaw visited Waitati School to set out how his party would support local communities to develop their own small-scale energy projects such as wind farms and solar systems. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on this edition of Southern Newsweek, a Jurassic theme exhibition opens in Dunedin promising plenty of teeth and claws, and Invercargill's town crier hangs up her bell and official wardrobe, so see you after the break. Welcome back. Dinosaurs have taken over Otago Museum, bellowing and lunging at visitors who dare to come too close. They're set to be there for the next 4 months during the Dinosaur Evolution exhibition, which opened a week ahead of schedule.
Creative Design Services Officer Shania Allen isn't too intimidated by this 70-million-year-old Therizinosaurus, which is now making itself at home at the Otago Museum. The newly arrived Dinosaur Evolution exhibition also has plenty of other creatures on display to startle museum visitors.
The exhibition has 4 animatronic dinosaurs, which definitely are the draw card. The kids are going to either love them or hate them. They're a bit scary, especially old T-Rex behind me here. We've got skeletons, so they're casts of actual dinosaurs, and they were really tricky to put together and way bigger than I imagined, so yeah, they're pretty impressive.
However, the exhibition is not just about entertainment, but also education.
The show sort of goes into a wee bit about the evolution and what scientists and paleontologists sort of uncover with new fossils. So the belief now is that dinosaurs did have feathers and quills. Of course they had armour as well, so it's a bit of artist's interpretation, and you can see that in the exhibition. It's all sort of about that evolution, and you learn quite a bit about them.
Dunedin is the only South Island venue for this exhibition, which was originally created by Gondwana Studios in Australia and was assembled quickly by about 10 museum staff so as to be open in time for the start of the school holidays.
It's taken us 5 days, so it arrived in Dunedin on Sunday and the team was straight into it Monday morning, and we've had a few late nights to try and get it open as quickly as we could in time for the school holidays. The
Dinosaur Evolution exhibition runs until the 8th of February, and during these school holidays there'll be additional science demonstrations for youngsters 3 times a day. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Public Housing Minister Chris Farfoy has paid a visit to the building set to be the new South Dunedin hub. The new offices will house financial advisors offering support and advocacy to those in need.
Dunedin North MP David Clark and Government Minister Chris Farfoy get a sneak peek of the building that's going to house a new South Dunedin hub for Presbyterian Support Otago. Farfoy says the new offices will see Presbyterian Support's budget advisors all together as they help those struggling with their finances.
The government has kind of toughened up laws against loan sharks, but what is really important is to make sure that on the ground we've got people who've got good knowledge and good relationships with people and mentoring them through getting their finances in shape to be able to look after their families.
Director of Family Works Carmen Batchelor says the financial advice services will not only be aimed at people in South Dunedin but also the wider community, including those undergoing hardship from COVID-19.
In the South Dunedin and wider Dunedin area, we've got people on benefits, low income, who actually need that wraparound support. Are they getting their full and correct entitlements from MSD, IRD entitlements, and of course since the impact of COVID-19 with people losing jobs, we've now got people who have never accessed a social service before. So actually for them to be able to know, hey, everyone needs financial support and advice at some point in their life, and we want to make that a really positive, welcoming experience where it's all under the one roof.
The new hub is a continuation of Presbyterian Support's ongoing government contract to offer financial mentoring to the community.
So it is about a friendly face who knows how to help. And it's really great that this service is going to be here in Dunedin South for the community.
Presbyterian Support are set to start moving into their McAndrew Road offices today. In Dunedin, the South Today.
For the past 5 years, Lynley McCarrow has been acting as town crier at major events in the Lower South Island. However, this month will be the last time her voice will ring out in Invercargill, Bluff and Gore, as she hangs up her bell and wardrobe.
After 5 years working full-time as a town crier in the South, Lynley McCarrow is quitting her job to move north. She says she's thoroughly enjoyed her time here, opening events and welcoming tourists and visitors.
It's just such a joy to be able to welcome guests from overseas, and they crowd around you looking for photos because they've never seen anybody that has been a town crier. And yet in Invercargill, I am the second town crier, and in Gore, I am the third town crier.
McCarrow has had 3 uniforms made by SIT students. This one features a heritage lace inset and is pink for breast cancer awareness.
That one of the reasons we never ever call what we wear is a costume, because when we become the town crier, we are the town crier. We're not playing at being the town crier, we are the town crier. And so as a result of that, we wear a livery or a uniform, and so this is what I'm wearing at the moment. I'm wearing a livery.
Having also worked as a lay minister and marriage celebrant, she got the town crier job in part due to having a loud, posh voice. Working as a crier for the Gore and Southland District Councils, as well as the Invercargill City Council, she's been a regular feature at events such as the Christmas Parade and the Bluff Oyster Festival.
Any opportunity to promote Southland as a destination, as a place where if Southland is not good for you, it will be good to you. And that to me is very, very important. We have, of course, the best irrigation system in New Zealand. Perhaps it gets a little windy, but when, as Billy Connolly said, there is no such thing as bad weather, only people that don't dress for it.
McCarrow says she's moving up to the Waikato to get married. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, one of the most important pieces of wood in rugby returns to Dunedin, and Dr. Ashley Bloomfield pays a visit by video to Dunedin's Columba College, so see you after the break. Thanks for staying with us. The Otago Rugby team has flown home after claiming the Ranfurly Shield from Taranaki, and there were plenty of supporters waiting for them as they got off the plane at Momona.
Rugby fans were waiting at Dunedin Airport to greet the Otago team after they won the Ranfurly Shield by defeating Taranaki 30-19 on Sunday. Team captain Michael Collins was happy to share the shield with the team's supporters. Among the crowd were Hunter Hathaway and Matthew Childs from Balmacuen Intermediate.
And did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did. I went down to the pub with my dad and watched it.
And what do you think?
Oh, it was a great performance, and the best player was Josh Ioane.
And what's it like to be part of a team that takes the Ranfurly Shield? We've done it before, but it's always special.
Yeah, no, that's mate. It's, you can see my people come out. So thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. Boys love coming back to the support. So it's awesome.
Now having won the Ranfurly Shield, the team will have to defend it against Hawke's Bay on Sunday at the Forsyth Bar Stadium. In Dunedin, the South today.
A senior pupil at Dunedin's Columba College is part of a group who dreamt up an audacious plan to inspire others during Mental Health Awareness Week. When thinking of who to invite to talk at her school, 18-year-old Hannah Clark reached out to New Zealand's most famous doctor.
Head and shoulders above the man in charge of New Zealand's fight against COVID-19. Year 13 Columba College pupil Hannah Clark was able to rope in one of her heroes for the school's Wellbeing Week.
Pretty much the plan is we've got lots of activities planned throughout the week, as well as some guest speakers, so obviously Dr. Bloomfield, as well as planned walls and lots of different events to get the girls involved.
The Dr. Bloomfield Hannah mentions is none other than the COVID curve crusher, New Zealand's Director General of Health, Ashley Bloomfield.
Hannah, it was great to get your email a few days ago, seeing if I would do a short clip to support you and your fellow students for your Wellbeing Week down there at Columba College. So a big shout out to you all for the work you are doing to look after the wellbeing of students down at the college.
That morning I got the email, I think I was in PE. I couldn't really say anything because I wanted to keep a special guest, but I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? It's all just happened, how did he see it? And I was like, this is all just a bit unreal, kind of insane. And so I didn't really even know what to do. And I was just sort of definitely in shock because that's Dr. Bloomfield who we've all seen on the TV, and he's been with Jacinda Ardern, and I was like, this is insane, 100%, definitely wasn't expecting that.
She says having someone of Dr. Bloomfield's mana and experience address the school means a lot to her and her fellow learners.
So we wanted to sort of show girls that this isn't just an in-school issue, so everyone does struggle with their mental health. So we thought we'd try and get a guest speaker, but we knew with COVID it would probably be nothing in person, so we're like, we'll try and get a video clip from someone. And we're sort of just tossing around names, and then someone brought up the idea of Dr. Bloomfield, and I was like, that's an awesome idea, why don't we try him? And so we're still like, that was probably a good idea. He seems quite topical at the moment. Everyone seems to know his name, so we're like, yeah. And he sort of seems to know those sort of ideas. So I was like, yeah, we'll try it, give it a go, and then somehow worked out.
She says Columba College recognises many people's struggle at times, and running events over Mental Health Awareness Week is helpful for all. In Dunedin, the South today.
Millionaire jeweller Michael Hill took a 265-year-old violin for a spin recently. The 81-year-old jewellery magnate performed 2 charity concerts in his adopted hometown of Arrowtown.
Arrowtown-based multi-millionaire Michael Hill performed 2 charity concerts this last week, which included a sellout performance to about 50 people at the Thomas Brown Gallery alongside pianist Kinga Krupa. The jewellery magnate played a violin that's now 265 years old.
This particular violin is particularly rare. It's a Guadagnini violin made in 1755 in perfect condition, unbelievable really. Made in Milan, and of course there was the best maker was Stradivarius, but Guadagnini was the next best on the rank, and he was a few years later.
Sir Michael says the violin is a little like a classic sports car in regard to its performance.
These instruments have an amazing tone to them, which you have to be able to bring it out, mind you. It's a bit like driving a Ferrari with poor gears. They're hard to control because they're so sensitive. But if you can work the sound out, you can get such a kaleidoscope of different tones from a violin like this, which is the advantage of having it.
The two concerts raised a substantial sum of money towards the Wakatipu Community Foundation Greatest Need Fund to help local children with mental health issues.
They're going to establish a social worker to go into schools and help children around the area whose families have been struggling with COVID effects.
So these two concerts have raised $10,000. That's pretty cool, I thought.
Michael Hill's 12-year-old grandson is also a keen player of the violin and performed some pieces at a concert. In Arrowtown, the South today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for watching. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.